Hello, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to the Be a Better You podcast. This is the official first episode, and is going to be hosted by Bill Schuhlein, the founder and CEO of Renewed Life Hypnosis. Hi, Bill. Thank you
Hi.
for being here.
Thanks, Andrea. I appreciate you doing this. This is great.
Awesome. Well, I'm pretty sure your listeners and people that are curious about hypnosis want to know really what got you started and why hypnosis.
So that's a really great set of questions, actually. And it's funny. I've been running into a lot of people who aren't really sure what hypnosis is because they've seen hypnosis on TV or in the movies, and that's a highly stylized, unrealistic view of what hypnosis really is. But to answer your first question, what got me into hypnosis? I was having some challenges in my life. Had some negative things happen that I was having a challenge with trying to resolve those things and to move forward. And I had done some work, some therapy work, and I had found that a lot of what we react to and do is based on our subconscious storage, if you will, of events that happened to us previously in life. And oftentimes, excuse me, oftentimes you won't even remember the event because you have so many other things in your mind to remember. So I went and I started studying about hypnosis and learning more about hypnosis and accessing the subconscious mind, and actually went through hypnosis myself. And I found that within a few short sessions, I had made more progress from hypnosis than I had made from all the time previously in traditional therapies. Now, that's not to say that hypnosis takes the place of traditional therapies, they have their place as well. It's just that hypnosis can be a shortcut. There is a researcher, Dr. David Spiegel, who he's a professor out of Stanford and a research scientist, and he's been studying hypnosis for the past 40 years. And he's done extensive research on hypnosis and how it's able to affect change much more quickly than some other standard therapies. So that's what got me into it. And I find it a fascinating realm of work.
Absolutely. The subconscious mind is nobody really understands it. Um,
It's true.
yeah.
There is Dr. Spiegel talks about the fact that we know that it has an effect. We just don't
hmm
know exactly why, even still after 40 years. And it's interesting. I had a conversation with my brother yesterday, and it was a conversation of, I'm not really sure if I understand all this stuff you're doing, which was really kind of cute. And I find that there's a lot of people out there that have this kind of hypnosis is mumbo jumbo, or hypnosis is not real science, or actually there's a number of people out there that feel that hypnosis is against a particular religion or something of this nature. None of that is true. It's a scientific realm of the mind that we have been able to access through hypnosis, and it makes an amazing difference in many people's lives.
100%. And I think that whole narrative of you are not in control, it's all Hollywood and the media, and, it's just to sell like everything else.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad you brought that point up again. And the reason being is because when I was under hypnosis, I do hypnosis with some colleagues of mine, and we work with each other since I my initial foray into hypnosis, where I was hypnotized by a hypnotherapist. But we worked together, and we were doing some work, and I said my colleague was under hypnosis. I was the hypnotist, and I said some things that clashed with things that she had um, held as a strong belief. She had been abused by a former husband, and he was narcissistic, and he was very much a control freak. And in the auspices of hypnosis, I gave her some demonstrative suggestions, and she immediately came out of hypnosis. She was like, "Nope, I can't do that," and she immediately came out. So perfect evidence of how you're always in control. And then conversely, myself with that same colleague, we were doing hypnosis. She was doing hypnosis with me. She was my hypnotist, and she went somewhere that I was not ready to go, and I forced myself out of hypnosis. So it was a really good learning experience for both of us in that when I say you are always in control, even when you're under hypnosis, it's not just something that we say to make people feel better. And in fact,
Right.
you'll notice in stage hypnotism, oftentimes the hypnotist will say, and when you wake up, you'll have no memory of this. Well, that's just not true. But the reason they say that is to give plausible deniability to people who are jumping around the stage acting like a chicken or whatever. And
Yeah.
it's so that when they come out of hypnosis, they can say, "Oh no, I didn't know I was doing any of that." But the reality of it is, they did. They
Yeah.
absolutely did.
Okay, good to know. Um, what type of hypnosis do you perform? Is there a specific type that,
Yeah,
you have a yeah.
yeah. So the training that I went through was a five-path hypnosis training with Cal Banyan. My instructor actually was a young lady out of Washington, the state, actually Bellingham, Washington. Erica was my instructor, and she's been doing it for 10 years. And we had a number of students in the class. And as I say, it was the Cal Banyan form of hypnosis. Uh, but there's a number of things that we learned in that class that also is very helpful in hypnosis. And we learned to do past life regression as well. So that's another interesting realm of hypnosis where you can actually go into a past life, if you will, uh, which is fascinating. Currently, now I am not doing that type of hypnosis. We know how to do it, but I'm not doing that type of hypnosis right now. Right now, I work mostly with trauma, addictions, smoking, alcohol, drugs, and as I say, trauma. I coined the term. I personally don't like the term hypnosis. I have never liked the term hypnosis. It was originally called that because osis is the act of in Greek, and hypno is sleep. So Mesmer, who actually started hypnosis, felt that it was when people went into a trance, he felt that they were asleep, and it's actually not at all true. It is not an act of sleep. It's an act of it's an act of focused concentration. The other similar condition to hypnosis, with one major difference, is our fight or flight response. When we go into a fight or flight response, our focus and our attention narrows to a very fine point, and we concentrate on one area, which is what the fight or flight response does for us. The difference being that fight or flight is a heightened state of anxiety. It's a heightened state of adrenaline. There's an adrenaline flood into the system in order to be able to fight or fly from the danger. Hypnosis is similar in the focused state of concentration. The major difference is that it is a relaxed state of concentration. So you have this focused, laser focused concentration, but in a very relaxed state. So that's the huge difference between them. But and this is what is believed to be able to affect these massive changes through hypnosis. So some interesting stuff.
Yeah, that's super interesting. And I like that you brought like the past life regression, even though you're not doing that right now. It's so interesting to learn about those things. And I think that's one of the things that maybe sometimes affect, perception of people. If it's something that they don't believe in, they immediately are like, no, that's not it. But I think, hypnosis has been here a long time, and there's a lot of people that have been doing things like that, and there's just something that they realized was in our subconscious, and it's really really interesting.
Right. Well, Dr. Spiegel, as I spoke about
Hmm.
before, he has done extensive study, brain scans, MRIs with people under hypnosis.
Hmm.
And there are centers of the brain that are triggered under hypnosis that are otherwise dormant, or I shouldn't say dormant, but are otherwise less active.
Right.
And the subconscious really, and this is valid, is a repository of every single thing that's ever happened to you in your lifetime. The brain is an amazing, amazing organ, and it does record every single thing you've ever had as an experience from the time of birth to all the way through to the time of death. But in order that we don't, go a little crazy, the mind segregates those things into different kinds of minds. What do I mean by that? You have three minds. We have the conscious mind, which I'm talking with you and you are listening to me with right now. We have the subconscious mind. We'll get back to that in a second. We have the unconscious mind. Now, what's the difference between unconscious and subconscious? Well, the unconscious mind is what controls bodily functions that we don't have to think about. And that's why we say it's the unconscious mind. It controls our breathing. It controls the blinking of our eyes. It controls the functioning of our organs. Now, some people say, "Well, Bill, I can stop myself from breathing. I can change my blinking of my eyes." Yes, you can. You can change the blinking of your eyes. You can stop yourself from breathing for a bit. But when you get to a point where your body says, "Nope, I'm done with that," you'll be breathing. You can stare without blinking for a time, and your body will send signals to your brain saying, "That's enough. It's time to blink." And you will blink because your unconscious mind is in control. The interesting thing about the subconscious is the subconscious is a repository of everything that's ever happened to you in your lifetime, as I said a moment ago. But the subconscious can also affect the unconscious. What do I mean by that? Well, um, let's say that you had a traumatic event in your life, okay? And there are certain outside circumstances that were present prior to that traumatic event. You didn't really think too much of them because you were mired in the traumatic event. However, years later, you find yourself in certain circumstances that are almost identical to what happened in that traumatic event. Your unconscious mind will begin to cause your body to react as if the traumatic event is about to happen. And this is very common where people will say, "I'm having a panic attack." Well, that panic attack is based in something that caused you initially to have a traumatic event. And another interesting thing for memory, and I've done a video on this, is smells. And smells will instantly bring you back to a memory, and that can be either good or bad. There's certainly a number of soldiers with PTSD. There are certain smells that trigger them to very bad memories. Conversely, there are good smells that bring us back to something from childhood and a happy memory. These things are all stored in the subconscious mind. And as I said earlier, the subconscious mind can affect the unconscious mind. So without us knowing it, this causes this anxious reaction. And going through hypnosis, we are able to access that subconscious mind. We can't change history. That's a really important, distinct point to make. When we do hypnosis, we don't change history. History is what it is. What we do through hypnosis is we give a better perspective of what happened.
I see. So there's no way you can erase a memory
That's correct.
from a person's mind.
That's correct.
Got it.
That's never going to happen. What happens is what happens. It is history. It's not going to change. But what we can change, especially if the trauma happens as a child, traumatic events for a child are mired in the subconscious, and as you grow older, it can affect your unconscious mind, and you can get into a situation, excuse me, where you feel that it's a similar situation and begin to panic. Well, what we can do through hypnosis is we can go back to that traumatic event as a child. Okay, it's called revivification, and we can revivify that event, but in the safety of your hypnotist's or hypnotherapist's office. And you can then go through the event with a better understanding, and you can speak to the child that went through that event through the magic of the
Um,
mind. And and you can actually grow through that event. And when you come back out of hypnosis, you have now been able to set aside the anxiety associated with that trauma.
I love that. It's like you get to heal your inner child
Exactly.
and be
That's said so
present. It's
well. So well. That's
incredible.
exactly correct. You're healing your inner child.
That's awesome. Okay, I also wanted to ask you, like, why did you start your wellness center? What really motivated you to open it up, and what's your plan, your vision for the future?
So, when I was working with my hypnotist, a woman named Tracy Kim, by the way, who is a consulting hypnotist on the east side of Boca, and a very good friend and colleague. Um, while I was working with her, we had had a number of conversations, and she said, "You know, Bill, I think you would be really good at this. And there's a lot of people out there that need help, just like you did." And I said, "Well, I am looking to do something with my life that will help other people." So I went to school, and while I was in school, a number of my other classmates, as well as my instructor, had remarked on the fact that I seemed to have a natural talent for this, and I did feel that. Um, it's I guess it's something that I grew up with, really, of helping people. And very as far back as I can remember, even including my own father, people would come to me and kind of spill their guts. I'd meet somebody at a party, and all of a sudden, 2 seconds later, I know their whole life story. It was something that was very common for me to have happen. And to be able to do hypnosis to help them with these traumas that they were dealing with, and I only wish I could have done that with my own father. Um, but um, these things motivated me to start the Hypnosis Center. And really, the work that I've done personally motivated me to uh, help others in the way that I had been helped, in order to make them a better them. I had become a better me, and I wanted to make them a better you. So that's what motivated me. In addition to that, you asked about the future. I find that there's so many misconceptions about hypnosis, and you see that there's more on social media today. There's a lot more people talking about hypnosis,
Hmm.
um, and that's a good thing. But I don't know that it's really gotten into the mainstream very well yet. My brother's a perfect example, not really knowing what hypnosis is, thinking it's a bit of voodoo and all this kind of thing. And so, one of my goals is to begin to speak, do public speaking on hypnosis, how it can help, the studies that have been done, the proof of the pudding, as they say, in how it is extremely effective, how it's helped millions of people around the world. There are a number of very famous hypnotists who have been doing hypnotherapy, hypnotism, not stage hypnotism, and so these are the things that I am going to move into in the future as well.
That's awesome. Well, that's exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I wanted to ask you something that I'm pretty sure, people that are interested in hypnosis want to know. So, can you walk me through what can a patient expect during their session and how does that work? How many sessions? Just walk me through the whole experience.
Sure. So, all right. So typically, first of all, we call them clients, um, especially in the state of Florida. Other states allow hypnotists to be called hypnotherapists, but in the state of Florida, we are known as consulting hypnotists. Um, but a client can expect a number of things. First and foremost, because there is so much misinformation, disinformation, and just flat out incorrect information out there, the first thing that they can expect is to have a 30 to 45-minute phone call with me or a visit, it doesn't matter, and which we talk about what is hypnosis and what is the process, much like you just asked this question now. This is what we deal with in the office. You come in and we talk about it. And I tell you what is hypnosis? Where did it come from? How did we get here? What can it do for you? What can it not do for you? Much like I said earlier, we can't change history. I've had some discussions with people that say, can you block this out of my mind? No, I cannot. What I can do is I can help you work with your mind to work through it and make you stronger, but I can't block it out. That's not what hypnotism is about. So that's the initial consultation. And that's, of course, that's without cost. It's just to discuss it. Uh, if the client decides, you know what, this is what I need, it's been a long time and I don't want to feel this way anymore. Or they may have some particular reason. They may have a phobia, right? They may have a flying phobia and they refuse to get on a plane, but they're having a significant event in their life. They're having a child get married. They're having a grandchild. They're getting married and they need to go to another state in order to make it work. And now they need to get over this phobia. We can help them with that. So once the client decides that this is something that they want to move forward with, typically it's about 5 sessions. A lot of people are like, 5 sessions? That doesn't seem like very much. That's the beauty and the magic of hypnosis. And I use that word magic, but I know it's a little bit of a cheap word, but it is a word that I used simply because it is just so cathartic what can happen in hypnosis in such a short amount of time that it almost seems like magic, but it is not. Um, so the first session, really, we discuss some more, and we get a client's history, and what are the client actually has to fill out a form of what it is that is troubling them, what makes them want to get rid of what they're dealing with at this point in time, and what are their goals, what are they trying to achieve, and then we do hypnosis in the first session. And that first session of hypnosis, it is really getting to know me as a hypnotist, me getting to know them, and letting them become relaxed and feel safe in the environment that we do hypnosis in. The second through the fifth sessions, we go into things that may be causing them the pain that they're suffering. And we will try to find the initial traumatic event. And we will go back through their memory in their subconscious to find that event and to revivify that event and then to correct the perception of that event. Now, that doesn't mean, again, as I say, we get rid of the event. We don't. But we, for example, it may be a traumatic event that happened. Um, there's a young woman who had a traumatic event on an airplane. The airplane had ridiculous turbulence, and at one point it started to nosedive. That woman saw the stewardess's face, and that imprinted on her, and she um, had a traumatic event in her own heart of what was happening. She was afraid she was going to die.
Wow.
Ultimately, the plane leveled off, everyone got off, and everyone was fine. But she could not get on a plane again after that because of that traumatic event. Now, a lot
I
of
don't
people,
blame her.
yeah, I was going to say, a lot of people say, I would feel the same way. That's
Yeah.
true, except the example I gave a moment ago, her granddaughter was being born. She hadn't stepped on a plane since this event had happened, and she needed to fly to go see her daughter having her grandchild. Um, we went through the event, and we were able to find out that the look on the stewardess's face is really what embedded the trauma into her subconscious. And when we were able to go through the event and explain to her past self that, yes, this is scary. Yes, the stewardess looks panicked, but you're going to be fine. You're going to get through this without issue.
Wow.
And she was able to embed that into her subconscious mind. And when she came out, she never had an issue flying again. And she flies to this day. So
Wow. So
go ahead. Yeah.
in yeah, in hypnosis, so you get in so deep into the memory that you can even see the details around you of
Oh,
what's going on.
absolutely, absolutely. That is part of the revivification. In fact, it's very interesting. Oftentimes in hypnosis, someone will say, "I never realized that I smelled that smell, and
Wow.
that's why I can't stand that smell today." They will come
Wow.
out of hypnosis, and it's like a light's been turned on. I never realized that. When this woman came out of hypnosis, she said that she never remembered seeing the look on the stewardess's face. But she saw it when we revivified the event, and that's what set the trauma in her subconscious was the
Wow.
look of panic on the stewardess's face. And as it turns out, she said the stewardess was extremely professional and was handling everything fine. But she, in that split second, she saw a glimmer of panic in the stewardess's face, and that's what set the trauma in her.
Yeah. Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah,
That you were, able to help her.
yeah, and we can
Wow.
do it all the time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things. Childhood trauma is certainly a large one. Um, there's a lot of um, association of worth with childhood trauma,
Mhm.
and unfortunately, it can really damage a person's self worth over time. It can make a difference in that um, when you're going for a job or you're going in a social situation and you just don't feel like you're worthy
Yeah.
in any sense of the imagination. And this is all can be traced back to traumatic events earlier in life.
Wow. What about addictions? Do you help treat those too?
Absolutely. And oftentimes addictions are associated with trauma, but sometimes not. But I'll give you an example of smoking. Oftentimes, the reason that smoking, hypnosis helps with smoking, is because we are able to associate with smoking the the actual reality of the possibility of cancer. The we can in the mind we can reimagine the amount of cigarettes that have been smoked and the stale smell of the smoke and the stale smell of used ashtrays and just the abhorrent effects of smoking, the smell of it on clothes, the detrimental effect to people around you. But we do this through focused concentration because people will try to do this in a conscious state of mind, and it doesn't have the same effect
Yeah.
because the conscious mind has a gatekeeper, and what it does is it kicks away things that it doesn't want to hear. So if you're a smoker, you don't want to hear that, so you kick it away. You see a picture of a damaged lung that is completely black from smoking. Your conscious mind kicks it away because you're getting the reward of the nicotine in your system. Through
Yeah.
focused concentration and hypnosis, you're able to get through that barrier and really embed in the mind the damage that you're doing to your body. And it's not just smoking, it can be drinking, it can be drugs. It can be addictive behaviors because addictive behaviors are not limited to substances. There are a number of people out there that are workaholics and will literally work themselves to death because there's safety in that addictive behavior. And
Yeah.
so what we do is we find out, why are you finding that a safe behavior to the point of killing yourself? And then we correct that.
And there, I think another point is also like the confirmation bias. I think in your conscious mind, your mind will do everything that it can to make it look like your decision is the right one, even though it's not. And, I guess those barriers just fall on the subconscious mind.
That's such a great point, and really inspired, because that's an absolute fact. The conscious mind, you use a term that I absolutely love, and we do it every day. All of us, we all do it. Confirmation bias. And confirmation bias basically is anything that doesn't agree with our previously held belief, we discount.
Yeah.
So if I believe, and I think it would be hard to believe this, but if I believe that cigarette smoking is not damaging to my health and it is not a bad thing, then anything that comes up that says it is, I'm going to discount.
Yeah.
Anything that says, or, and conversely, I'm going to key on the studies that say, oh, well, if you smoke X amount of cigarettes, it actually does this positive thing for your body.
Yeah.
Or,
Exactly.
or this lady is 105 and she
And she
smoked two
smoked
packs of
every day.
cigarettes
Yeah.
every day of her life since she was 9 years old.
Yeah.
That's the exception, not the rule. First of all, and secondly, that goes to confirmation bias. That's, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
use that to confirm my bias. So, yeah, focused concentration of hypnosis is able to get through those confirmation bias barriers, and we're able to affect the change. But again, and this is really important, I don't think I mentioned this enough earlier. When we talk about the consulting and we talk about the first session, there has to be a reason for you to want to change. And that's really important. Hypnosis will help you to change, but if you don't really want to change, then hypnosis probably won't be as successful. It will be somewhat successful in spite of that. It will perhaps help you to get to the point where you want to change. But remember, I said earlier, you're still in control even under hypnosis. If someone makes you go to hypnosis to stop smoking because you really don't want to, it's likely not going to be successful. And you've heard stories about people that say, I went to hypnosis to stop smoking and I'm still smoking. They didn't want to change. That's an integral part of hypnosis, is the wanting to change. If you want to change, hypnosis can be a shortcut to get there, but you must want to do it because ultimately you're still in control even under hypnosis.
Absolutely. It's like if you go to the gym, but then you do this, you don't really do anything, you're not doing anything. You're not losing any calories. You have
Exactly.
to go, yeah, up 100%. Okay, we're almost done here, but I wanted to ask you about, really what's your goal with this podcast? Be a better you podcast. Why did you want to start this?
That's a great question too. Um, you know, it goes to what I said earlier about wanting to get out there and get this information out to the population. And a podcast is great because you can either watch it or you can listen to it in your car on your way to work or whatever, and it gets the information out there. There are too many misconceptions about hypnosis. There are too many people who don't understand what hypnosis is and how it can help. So I really wanted to do these podcasts for a couple of reasons. Certainly, the first reason being to get this information out there, but also to address different things under the hypnosis umbrella that people are curious about and people want to know more about. Um, in one of our future podcasts, I'm going to have a colleague of mine on, Dr. Jane Gwynn. Dr. Jane is a sex therapist and she uses hypnosis in her sex therapy. So, this is the kind of thing that we're going to expand on how hypnosis can really help in so many different areas of life. Okay. So that's why I wanted to start this podcast and why I want to continue this. And hopefully we'll have a lot of people that get a lot of help and a lot of information from it.
Awesome. All right, Bill, thank you so much. And just as a reminder, if you want to book a session with Bill, just go to renewedlifehypnosis.com and then just, get a free consultation and then go from there. Thank you, Bill, for today. And yay, I'm excited to keep going with this podcast.
Thanks, Andrea. I really appreciate it. You do a great job. And thank you so
Thank
much.
you.